guest this evening might be a familiar face to a few of you out there. He has been the vocalist for several renowned projects in New York, including My Bitter End, Dr. Acula, and currently Crippled. Everybody, please welcome the show, Tyler Guida. Hey, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
How we doing, man?
Good, man. Living the dream. Sitting inside.
Yeah. How's shit going in New York?
Honestly, I think a little better. I wouldn't know because I'm just waiting. But I know that we're in the phase one of opening stuff. But that kind of all got halted by all the stuff going on with the riots and the protests. So that's kind of taking the main stage right now. So I haven't been to any of that stuff because I'm staying away. I've had enough trouble with the law, and I feel like I have a freaking target on my head everywhere I go. So I'm staying safe and staying out of it. But that's going to start dying down, I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea what the hell's going on. I've seriously locked myself down, and I'm losing it. But but yeah, we're gonna make it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you just gotta find ways to stay busy, things like that.
Yeah, I'm trying. I started way too late. That's what it was. I started being productive 5 weeks late into this whole situation when I probably could have accomplished so many great things.
Oh,
Instead,
dude, I started a show at the end of this when I'd been sitting around for 2.5 months
right.
beforehand. So
I spent the first 2 months complaining, and then I'm like, maybe I'll do something.
And then
word, man,
kind of
it's wild.
Yeah, I could only imagine. Now, what part of New York are you in?
Right now, I'm in Westchester, New York. We're the first county outside the Bronx. I'm in New Rochelle.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I'm right outside of the Bronx. It's a little bit wild right now, and going on over there. But right where we're at, it's been pretty quiet, actually. So I'm in a pretty quiet place, actually.
Well,
it's pretty weird.
That's I know, especially considering your history playing in some of the more not so quiet bands of the last 15-20 years.
Right.
So for us,
I don't even know how to talk. I don't even know how to talk at a normal level where we are now. I feel like every time I'm outside, everyone's hearing all my conversations because I'm obnoxious as hell. What are you doing?
I have that problem when, even still, 10 years later, living in the middle of the woods now, I'm still have the loud Boston fucking just in my voice.
Yeah.
And it
got good reverb out there.
Being reminded, it's like, yo, you're outside. I'm like, yeah, but nobody fucking lives by us.
Yeah. I miss living in the woods. I had a little phase of living in the woods when I was in My Bitter End. We all practiced up there. A couple of the guys were way up the ways by the border of Pennsylvania and New York. That was nice. For music, it was nice. Everything else, I kind of lost my mind. But making music, we wrote an album in 1 week because there's nothing else fucking going on.
No, and that's the thing when you have no distractions, and that's the thing that I like about it. Because sit here, I can work on my music, I can do my thing,
absolutely,
stuff that I want to do, and I don't have a bunch of distractions. But also, I got to drive 2, 3, 4, sometimes 7 hours to go to a good show.
Right.
So speaking of My Bitter End, so those who aren't familiar, definitely check out the discography online. So you joined them back in the early 2000s, 2005.
I think somewhere around there. That's a blur.
That's what the
sure? But yeah, it was in that window of time. I was playing with some of my friends from the Bronx, and that's where I met them. We played a show with Since the Flood, Evergreen Terrace, and My Bitter End, and that's where I met Mike. And then me and him lightly stayed in touch, and that's how it happened. So yeah, I would say it was somewhere in that window from 2003 to 2005. I ended up there somehow.
That's for those who aren't familiar with the early 2000s. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like the wild fucking west of metal because so many different things were happening in different states. And there's a handful of states. I think of Massachusetts, New York, Kansas City, Seattle, You had
Yeah.
like Botch and them. I mean, that's still 90s.
Oh, I love Botch.
Oh, I fucking love
Botch is the
Botch.
best. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's the best shit, dude. I love that band.
Absolutely.
Yo, yeah, that was a wild time. That was also the time when things were a little bit more escalated with the city to city like beef and all that stuff. We had like the Boston, New York thing that was a little more prevalent. Now, especially in the hardcore scene, that's all fucking niche. You know what I mean? But I remember that being a thing. I remember being in a band from New York and being like a newer band, like not newer, but we never really had big problems. So, I had a few little things, but I remember like you had to think about it. You had to think like, okay, we're going into this fucking territory now, so we have to act this way and act according. Especially me, because I was a maniac back then, and like I was constantly acting like a jackass. So like I always had to get the pep talk before we all right, we're gonna only have 13 beers tonight and not 28.
No, 28, 30. And that's the thing is like what some might not know who's watching the show and might not be familiar with the metal, hardcore, and punk scene. There was, and occasionally is a predominant gang presence like the FSU, and like especially going into Boston territory. I remember my first time ever seeing them. It was my first time seeing Glassjaw and Hatebreed together. It was like Glassjaw, Hatebreed, Poison the Well. And I was like 15 years old. This was 20 years ago, and I had never seen anything like it. My only shows before that was like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Foo Fighters, and my first show of White Zombie's farewell tour was the very first concert.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, with them in Fear Factory. That was the first concert I went to without my parents.
Awesome. That's a good one.
And yeah, Crazy Pit, but it's like the Pantera side of things, not
right.
In hardcore. I had never seen anybody like all the heavy Pantera style pits, the push pits, it's heavy,
push
but
it's not elevated push pit, right. I know, and then you get thrown into the intentional blatantly smashing people in the face thing. Yeah, bro, it was wild, and it was actually, I gotta be honest with you, I think like a lot of young kids are still dancing hard and stuff, but I haven't seen like anything like that recent years. I feel like that all calmed the hell down. I remember like watching footage of like Connecticut shows and like even the New York, but like Connecticut, it's a 100 Demon show in Connecticut. And that was like a video I was watching when I was in My Bitter End. It was at the same venue we were going to, and I was like, it was like one of the most violent things. When My Bitter End used to play in Poughkeepsie, it was the same shit. We used to play the Loft. It was the hometown like venue of Poughkeepsie is the Chance, and they have like a downstairs, a middle floor, and then the big theater. We used to play either the downstairs or the middle floor, and we played the Loft. Was like a weird shaped room. It was like it would fit a lot of people, but at any decent show, it kind of funnels you into the front. So you're fucked. Like you're gonna get hit. And actually, if there's some footage online. If you look up My Bitter End, in like type in a year, like anywhere like 2005 to 2000, say, there's some awesome footage. If you look up Poughkeepsie, My Bitter End, good stuff.
It's gonna be this awesome moment where I like cut that in, and then it's gonna go back to conversations. Now, like you said, like some even early on, like Evergreen Terrace, since the flood. I mean, New York had just a complete onslaught of just some of the fucking craziest bands at the time in the early 2000s. Like I said, you had bands like Glassjaw, and then you have bands like Leftover Crack and like the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Because we were it was the hub. We were like, that was the first. I mean, we always had the tours coming through. Like a lot of the other states would miss these tours that were coming through, these like smaller scale tours. And at that time, there was still enough venues that could house these smaller packages. So when like the slightly underground like fucking metal or hardcore shows go, there was places for them to go. Especially actually more so upstate. There was a few good Bronx spots, but the thing with the city was they were always getting shut down. But yeah, you had access to it all. If you had any way to get anywhere, you could drive a couple minutes, you can go upstate half hour, and you can see something that you missed in the city.
Oh, absolutely. And like Maine, we were very lucky for a while. We had a place in Augusta in the capital called The Edge. And I saw bands like Unearth. I saw the Red Chord there. I saw the Dillinger Escape Plan there on the Calculated Infinity Tour. Like, that maybe held like 70 people, a 1-foot stage, and just watching Ben just do his shit, dude. Like, just losing it. And then travel north, up to the Cave, and then, oh my god, you want to talk about Kathy, like the queen of Maine hardcore. She's hosted more bands up here, and so many others, the Dillinger Escape Plan, Terror, just insane. It's just absolutely beloved lady. Kathy, if you're watching this by any chance, all the love. I wish you the best right now. She was what we call Cave Mama, and she put on all these shows. She turned an old like dance hall into a hardcore club in the middle of the woods in northern Maine.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you get a chance, check out look up some videos for The Cave with a K. And you see some unbelievable bands that went through there. And that's the thing, like you said, there was all these little places that, you know, people could go and escape to that wasn't in the city. And luckily, especially up north, because the city ones were always getting shut down, you know. Let it be from, you know, anti-mosh ordinances, or getting dumped in with like the anti-rave ordinances that was happening in the early 2000s.
Yeah, there was
shutting down clubs.
That was the big sweep that the mayor did, that big sweep on venues. It was pretty much a witch hunt at one year, and that was the beginning of the end for a lot of places. That was like when the wetlands started losing. ABC Del Rio lost it, and that was like actually the beginning of the death of CBGBs too. Was all in this one big push, and some of them held on for years afterwards, but that was the beginning of the end. It was like they were basically it's like a cop planting drugs on you. Like they like set them up to fail, like, and they just waited for the right moment so they could legally shut everything fucking down, you know what I mean? It was a sting, bro. It was a sting operation.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely was. And that's like it, like I said, it was the wild fucking West, because I'd end up going to shows in like a barn, living room shows, house shows, backyard barbecues. And it was like this massive era of just, hell, even when I was touring, we played more house shows than we did venues, you know.
Those are the best, man. Those are the best shows there are.
Oh, absolutely. Now, when you guys were starting off, so obviously playing some house shows, what I'm always curious, what are some of the memories of like back in the day at some of these house shows, some of the more wild shit that you've seen go down?
Oh, dude, it's just like, there's no like exact memory. I remember there's a band called After the Burial that actually ended up doing quite well. And the first time we met those guys,
anyone's just ever heard of them before.
After the first time we met those guys, we were meeting up with them to do a run. We were doing like a week run with them. And we met them, and it was at a house show in Minnesota in some like 17-year-old kid's house whose parents weren't there. And it was like a nice house, dude. It was a nice house. And I was like, ugh, but there was like kind of adults there. So I didn't know what the fucking deal was with the house. And I just remember by the time we left that place, there was like the room they did it in, there was like actual blood all over the fucking place. It went from like a nice house in the suburbs of Minnesota to looking like the pits of like CBGBs in the 70s and 80s. There was vomit, blood, everything. And I left, and I remember that we actually stayed in the house. And I remember the next morning, like taking like, you know, I'm walking out like, ugh, and I took a look around at what happened, because I got a good look at it when we showed up. And I was just like, I actually had like a moment of human remorse for like whoever's house that was. Especially, I feel that shit now, because back then I was like an irresponsible mess, you know what I mean? But like nowadays, I think about it. Now when I think about it, I'm like, that gives me anxiety. I'm like, oh my god, the carpet, like, they scratched the wood floor, bro. It's like,
it's crazy how fucking time flies like that.
I know.
You know,
I hate it.
Yeah, you know, I miss those days, you know, but you know, I'm
happy they're over, actually, to be honest with you. Like, I miss them and I love talking about them. I'm just happy I made it out in one piece, because I'm pretty sure like people had like money on my being the one that like on like dudes from bands who are gonna die or go to jail forever. And I'm pretty sure I cost a lot of people their money, because I'm still here, you motherfucker.
I'm stoked it only cost me half my face.
Yeah, right.
Worcester Metal and Hardcore Fest 2008. Got the heel right down, shattered half my face.
Oh, that's a nice day.
And it was
Nice.
that was pit retirement day 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the day everything changed, you know. And but
Yeah.
like I said, like it was different then, you know. I mean,
Right.
even at the Palladium, they were looking the other way for the longest time until they couldn't anymore, you know.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
absolute shit show back in the day, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, we're safe. We're still here.
Exactly. We made it this far. You know, we made it this far.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, you did the My Bitter End thing for a while. Then you headed out and did Dr. Acula for a bit. Did that for a couple of years, and that's actually how we first met. I ended up filming you guys when you were on tour with the Bunny and the Bear. And then cueing a couple of years later, you ended up going back for a My Bitter End reunion tour, which is when our bands got to play with, together.
Yes. Yep.
And I don't know if you recall, and I do because I've got a stupid fucking memory. That was actually supposed to be the Ghost Inside's reunion show.
They ended
up having to cancel out.
Right.
And then we ended up playing with like This Is Hell. Still a good time and all that, but
This Is Hell was dope.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was wild. Like I said, I remember that phase of My Bitter End when I met you and like all that. That was like when we were going in to do the second records that I did with them. And that was like I said, I have a lot of trouble with interviews, to be honest with you, with about the old My Bitter End days, because we were a fucking I like nothing but love. We always performed our music, but everything in between was a goddamn shit show. I'm talking like morning to night, like blah, like so when people ask me, they're like, "Play this show with this person," I'm like, I guess so.
I guess, yeah. And
I remember that. I stayed with My Bitter End for that record, and then I actually had lost my voice completely at that point, and that's why I had to leave again. What that second coming of My Bitter End when I did the Nostalgic Sentiments EP, I recorded it and we did some shows on it, and then we were doing new demos and I lost it. I lost it to the point of pain too. Like my voice was gone, like thought never to return. Like so I did everything. I took rest. I did all the stuff. Never went to a doctor, of course, because God forbid. You know, like, if I go to the doctor, they're gonna tell me everything else that's wrong, and then it's just gonna become the
that domino.
So I had to leave them, and my friend John, who's now the vocalist of that band, Last 10 Seconds of Life, had taken over for me briefly during that phase of My Bitter End. But I did the record and stayed good with them, and we just did the reunion shows recently. What was that? October?
Yeah, I think
October.
It was like right in the fall, right before.
Yeah, those were
shit hit the fan.
That was
and I wish I could have made it out there, you know, but I did get to see some of the footage of it, which hopefully we can cue up some of it here. obviously, you know, it's great to do those types of things, especially reunite with, you know, guys that meant so much to you, and you know,
Right.
you would set out with. Now, you said you kind of took a break from things for a little bit. Your voice had kind of
Yeah.
given out, needed it
Yeah.
get back on path, and now you're in a brand new project. So tell me about your new band.
So the guys, a couple of the guys from my first band ever, when we were young kids, were in the Bronx. They were doing a project called the Game Day Regulars. Really good, like punk band, like kind of Gainesville sound type thing.
Yeah.
And that had kind of like started to fade out. They were going really hard for a while, doing awesome shows, awesome tours and stuff. And so me and my friend Will, we were hanging out, drinking, like just shooting the shit. And we're like, yo, we're doing this every weekend. We should at least start, like, try to make some music. And so we came up with this brand of hardcore that we're doing. It's kind of like really punk-based hardcore, a lot of like hooky. And like I said, it's got like a little bit of that hot water music influence with a lot of like Blood for Blood type influence type stuff. Vocally, you know what I mean? And it's like basically like, you know, we're not a breakdown band, we're not a metallic hardcore band at all. It's all punk-based hardcore stuff, you know, fast. When we play, there's punk pits, man. There's kids with little kids with spiked jackets spinning in circles, man. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, man. We started off kind of light, and then Morse Code Records, who is run by this guy Derek Morris, and they're out in California, and it's him and Rachel from Most Precious Blood and Indecision.
Yep.
They agreed to put it out on vinyl because we had recorded ourselves. We didn't even know what we sounded like, because like we were practicing in a room. We had no idea what the hell that record was going to be, and they put that out on vinyl for us, and it's actually done all right. Like I said, we're kind of like weekend warriors. You know, we stay busy, but we all live lives and shit. But luckily, we live where we live. We live in New York, so this tri-state general area, you could stay a fully active hardcore band without touring your ass off, which I can't do. I ain't got that shit in me anymore. I wish I did.
Yeah.
I miss like the traveling and all that stuff, but like I want to sleep in a bed. My back hurts sleeping in a bed. If my mattress isn't the right kind of mattress, I'm like in pain now. So I can only imagine what the hell I'd be like. We got a taste of it. We went 2 summers ago, we decided to do a quick run to go do the Stomp Hate Festival in North Carolina.
Yep.
So we did a couple shows down. We're like, you know, a quick weekend. We did like Virginia Beach and somewhere else, and then headed down to North Carolina. We did these 3 shows, and by the time we got back, I felt like I was on tour for 3 months, dude. I came hobbling out of the van, like holding my luggage. I had lost like 5 of my shirts, or I was like, I got the full experience. I was like, I'm good for a while. Chill. But yeah, so if the people haven't checked it out, we're on Spotify, we're on all that stuff, Apple Music. We just released recently, a couple months back, we released a new single called Recovery Gone Wrong. And that one was released right before all this kind of shit hit the fan with the virus and all that. So it did squeeze past some people. So definitely check that out. And we're gonna go. We're actually supposed to be in the studio as we speak. We were writing a new record, and we were heading to Creep Records to do the record with Eric from Creep Records at his studio in Philly. We were doing a full length, and we couldn't even finish the writing process. Now we picked back up on it to finish it out, and we're gonna be back in the studio in July.
Nice. That's awesome. So probably maybe expecting like a fall release on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll we're gonna have something released online before that, like a single. We were thinking about doing a cover, but as far as the next album goes, fall.
Nice. So
yeah, man.
Swine from Crippled Urn, it's available on Bandcamp. You're gonna have all the links available for everybody watching, so you can check that out. So you've played with a bunch of different people over the years, and a bunch of, you know, and they've all done different things and different projects, and it's kind of synonymous with like the New York scene. You know, everybody's kind of in each other's bands and, you know, do a lot of different things. Right. If given the opportunity, I'm always curious about this. if you could work with anybody, pull them in on an album, anybody right now that's in the game, who would you want to work with?
Like a new project type thing?
Or even pull them in for a track or anything at all.
Oh, yeah, I mean, oh, dude, I mean, as far as like Crippled Earn goes, I have like my dream guest spots that are very not dreamy. They're people that we associate with. You know, there's people that come to these shows, the Sunday matinees and stuff. I'm looking to get Paul from one of my favorite hardcore vocals, Paul from Sheer Terror.
Yep.
He's my favorite fucking personality, everything. The guy's fucking amazing. I would love who else is cool? I like Chuck Reagan, great guy. I'm a big fan of the band Off With Their Heads.
Dude.
Off With Their Heads.
Yes.
And I think he would be amazing on a Crippled Earn track. He kind of got the same vocal thing, the grit and the shit. So that one is somebody I don't know. So as far as people I don't know, that's my man.
Oh, it's got water in my eye. I got all excited. I fucking squirted in my face. Oh man, dude! I saw Off With Their Heads when they came to Maine in the fall, and it was a few people there. I was actually kind of a little bummed. I was kind of expecting a little bit more of a crowd, but it was a blast. Man, if you guys don't know Off With Their Heads, phenomenal band. Absolutely check them out. They're a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really cool. And honestly, I can see that working. Like you said, his vocal styles with yours,
yeah. Oh, I would love it. Dude, that's what I said, man. He's like, even the songs by them that I'm not crazy about, like there's some records I love, some stuff that I like it all, but his vocal style and the way he writes and stuff is phenomenal. He's a solid writer.
Absolutely. And I say this to everybody when I ask, but it's always my dream that maybe if somebody watches this, oh, we lost your camera. Oh, there we go.
A low battery.
Okay. Is that like dream is that, maybe somebody hears this aspiration of collaboration and maybe it happens. And if my show makes it happen, then I'll be fucking tickled to think if that happens. Whole point is connecting people here. So before your battery dies, one last thing, and I'm always curious about this is Punky's mixtape here now. When you were a kid, you're definitely to the point where I can assume that you made mixtapes as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Kid cassettes. That's how it was. Who did you bump as a kid? Do you remember a couple of your early mixes?
Oh yeah, dude. I used to sit with the tape in the thing and listen to the radio and press record to get the songs. Remember that shit?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I remember
the first.
I would hear the beginning of Astro Crave 2000 come on, and like the sound, and I'd be like, click, and then I remember the thing would kick off, so I'd be like, and then come back. White Zombie, I loved as a kid. My sister's friends and her friends used to hang out on the porch when I was a young kid. I would come out in my Catholic school uniform, and they'd be like sleeping on the porch with their 40 bottles and stuff. And one of them gave me Set It Off by Madball. And that's before I really understood heavy music. I was like, I didn't understand the genres. I was just like, it's heavy. I like rocker. I'm a rocker, like my little shit ass. But that was like a game-changing record for me. Metal-wise, it wasn't until later that I kind of like focused in on what I like. But yeah, growing up, my mixtapes were off the radio, like literally 90% of them. And then I would also do the dub from the tape. I remember I got Set It Off on the tape, and there was one track I wanted, so I got the track lined up and recorded it onto the other deck that had all my radio songs and had my like Fugazi shit and my Helmet songs and I would sit around because like the radio rotation was like you could memorize it because there wasn't that many songs, and I'd be like I'd tune in. I'd sit in my room and sit there with the radio. This makes you feel ancient, right? And I'd be like, all right, they're at this song, which means like like that means they're gonna get to like to this Helmet song, or like but it's gonna come back. So I'd sit there and wait, and then I started transferring them. And I remember this mixtape. There's one that I tried to hold on to for nostalgia's sake. Like as I grew older, I keep taking this tape with me, and it had Ignite, Madball, and a Bulldoze song that I had heard on SOU, and some random black metal. I remember I just pressing it because I heard some like creepy sound, and I was like, I'll take it, like again. And it was like the mix of what I liked. It's like I said, and it's funny as I went on. If you look at like when we moved to CDs, it's funny. If I wish I could have kept everything I did, because you could kind of watch it shrink down, you know what I mean, while expanding in other ways. But like I said, like so slowly things phased out. And nowadays, you know, like I listen to like 90%, like I listen to everything when I'm driving in the car, or if I'm taking a train into work. I don't want to blast hardcore at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like it's my first law. I love it so much. But I listen to Sigur Rós when I go to sleep and stuff. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And so, but my first mixtape, like the first tape I got and I created a mixtape was White Zombie, Helmet, and Madball. And I thought it was the coolest tape ever. And then my brother told me that Madball sucked. Yeah. And I remember like they were like the older crew. So I was like, I thought I had one on him. I was like, I'm cool. I fucking got it. And he was like, no, this sucks. He probably liked it. He was probably just being a dick.
Yeah.
But,
it's usually how siblings are.
Yeah,
I was
like,
fortunate, you know, like my sister, she gave me like Suicidal Tendencies and like White Zombie as a kid. I mean, she was 10 years older than me. So I was like, here I am in like 96, 97, like 11, 12 years old, and bumping through recess, playing basketball, listening to Institutionalized, you know, and getting way too aggro on the Foursquare court, you know, in the early 90s.
Well, excellent.
Dude, you'll get a kick out of it. My first tape, my very first cassette, I fucking begged my parents for it, and I laugh about it all the time now, is I wanted the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack. That's how obsessed I was with this movie, you know. And
well, I guess we're gonna have to.
Dude, that Bobby Brown song,
yeah, that's like the best song ever.
I went through so many fucking copies of that.
Wait,
tape.
that was the song you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, and it's so good. Dude, it gets stuck in my head all the time. And I'm like, I wrote so many copies of that fucking cassette because all I wanted was that one song. Because it just,
dude, that's the best shit.
We were busting back then, you know? It was
dude. Because it was like during that hype part of the movie, too, which made it even more like triumphant. Like, I remember being
And I was totally, you know, making my Quaker oatmeal friggin' photon pack with like the vacuum hose, you know, and making my muggin pack. I was,
right. Excellent. That's something good. I love it.
So before we head out here, any final thoughts here? You want to say anything to the world before we bounce?
No, just check out Crippled. We're going to be back we're now just getting into the line where we're going to get in the same room together. We're going to be having music out. We're going to have updates. We have a song already recorded that's not even mixed because our mix engineer got stuck in Michigan when he lives in Jersey. Mikhail, shout out to Mikhail. One record I want you guys to check out. 2 records. If you like the fast, like just straight up old style hardcore stuff, there's a new Crazy Eddie EP by Crazy Eddie, New York Hardcore. Check that out. They have a new record called, that's amazing. It's straight to the point, you know, really raw recording, great recording. And then my boys from New Jersey just released a record on Unbeaten Records called, they're called On Site, and the record's called Cause of Pain. Check that record out. It's phenomenal. Metallic hardcore. It's really good.
I will definitely. Whole point of the show, I'm always looking for new music to check out.
Absolutely, brother.
Dude,
good shit, man.
I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Oh, dude, thank you. It was a good one, actually.
I'm so glad to catch up. It's been a little bit. I'm glad you're doing well. And when you guys are back out and we're able to play shows, let me know and travel and bring my gear down, and we'll get some live footage of you guys.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, everybody. This has been Tyler of My Bitter End, Dr. Acula, and most recently, Crippled. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great night.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Peace.